We see Dedra only once in this episode. The scene opens with her doing something the Empire rarely respects: stopping. In the middle of a corridor designed for movement, hierarchy and momentum, she pauses to quietly surveil Blevin after he passes. He's surrounded, in motion. Weekly reports, budget control, a speech rescheduled. Authority here is smooth, confident and completely uninterested in the reasons why anything happens. He's continuing to repurpose Ferrix into a managed Imperial asset. The fragment of conversation we overhear about the Finkley Conference, which sounds like the kind of annual event at Scion Park discussing business governance that I've probably been to, establishes the world Blevin inhabits, one of appearances, calendars and social rhythm. He's outward-facing and gaining a reputation. It seems power here is seamlessly re-entering the bloodstream after an absence. Dedra, like a rock in the stream, doesn't belong to this rhythm, this flow. She watches them pass and continues on her way. Inside her office, the Empire looks very different. The conversation with Hirt is quiet, methodical, and stalled. Hosnian Prime is flawless, too flawless. We've talked about this before. The system is creaking, is too big, too unwieldy, run by imperfect people. This has echoes of the first scene with Cyril and Inspector Hein. The Empire is being impeded in its ability to investigate because it's commonplace within the Empire to cover stuff up for perception reasons and to avoid Imperial scrutiny. Of course, there have been broken, misplaced and mislabeled components, they just don't report on them. Dedra's instinct is to look instead for shadows, unofficial ledgers. She understands that institutions that pride themselves on perfection are often the least trustworthy sources of truth. The emotional core of the scene is Dedra's doubt. She says, "I don't know what I'm doing about any of it." An extraordinary admission in a system built on certainty. Here it lists the data: Kessel, Fondor, targeting consoles from Jakku, proton warheads from Base K, the Steerguard star path. Different targets, different approaches. They don't cluster, they don't behave the way the Empire expects threats to behave. The breakthrough comes not from new information but from a shift in perspective. Dedra stops asking what the data proves and starts asking what she would do. She switches to empathetic modeling, something the Empire isn't good at. Suddenly, what looks like chaos from the outside begins to read as discipline. Randomness becomes a strategy. Hirt's line, "It's too random to be random," crystallizes the scene's real subject. The Empire is great at recognizing patterns that already exist, but it struggles with intention that hides inside the noise. The Empire is too big, too bureaucratic, too established in its ways to understand a threat that can adapt. Dedra's physical reaction is small but telling. Her uniform tightens, the collar constricts. The pressure she's feeling is the sensation of pushing against the limits of what the system is designed to allow. Dedra doesn't rebel against those limits, she works inside them, just expanding the search outside office hours and incrementally, 2 files at a time. All she needs is endurance. She pops some tablets, stims. Are Pro Plus still a thing? They're caffeine pills, basically. They aren't framed as weakness or vice. We won't be getting a subplot where Dedra ends up getting screamed at to get up by a hallucination of her own psyche. That's a Babylon 5 reference. This is a practicality. The work requires stamina. That's part of the difference in approach here. Blevin converts disorder into administration and swans off to give a speech about Ferrix without understanding what really happened there or why. But Dedra, she'll sit with the disorder until it speaks to her. The scene doesn't end with revelation or victory, it ends with continuation, and that's the point. Rebellion doesn't announce its arrival, it begins as a faint, irritating sense that the numbers don't quite feel right. Dedra is dangerous to the rebellion because she's patient enough to keep looking when the rest of the corridor has moved on.